Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Noda Podcast, hosted by Eric, which is me, and my other host is Daniel.
Hello.
We are on part 2 of season 2 of The Good Place. If you haven't watched season 1, you should go and watch that, and if you haven't watched part 1, you should go and watch that, because if you don't, then you're kind of lost, and what would you do?
Yeah.
Come on, context.
Yeah,
You know?
dude. You want context and you want to help us. You want to help us out. Go watch those videos. Don't be
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah. So, there you go. Don't forget to subscribe and like and share and hit notification so you don't miss anything cuz wouldn't want to miss it cuz every Wednesday and Friday there's new videos, right?
New videos.
New videos. So sit back, watch, listen, and digest on this week's episode of Unnoted. Episode 7, Daniel. We are ending of episode 6. We are introduced to Derek.
Yay, Derek
Yay.
Hotziller.
He is like the stupidest thing to ever be created in the universe from a being who knows everything about the universe.
Yeah, for someone who's
a little silly.
Yeah, for someone who literally knows everything, Janet did such a bad job making Derek.
Yeah, she really did, which doesn't make sense.
Wind chimes for a penis.
Yeah, honestly. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense because she's not a human, right?
Yeah.
She always says that. She's like, not a human. This is not skin. I love when she says that.
Dude, I love every time she corrects Jason when he calls her a girl. She's not a girl.
Not a girl. I'm not a human. So yeah, we get introduced to Derek, and it's kind of horrible. I hate Derek. Jason and Tahani get sent off on like a day spa, right? So that they don't run into Derek and Janet. But that is a B plot of episode. Main plot of episode is Michael trying to murder Derek without it being morally or ethically bad.
Which I do love that.
It's amazing because he goes up to Chidi and Eleanor. That is the trio of this episode, and he's like, how do we do this? Like how do we do this without ruining? So because Janet created him because she's jealous. And so they're trying to break up Tahani and Jason so that Janet won't be jealous, so that she'll get rid of Derek. That's kind of like the thing that they come up with. But until then, Michael's just trying to kill Derek, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, because
that whole scene when they're sitting on the couch and they're just like, but how?
Yeah, he walks in, he's like, so Chidi, what do philosophers think of murder? And he's like, it's
bad.
Generally frowned upon. He's like, but even if murdering someone makes it easier on my life, it's still bad. And he's like, yes. 1000%.
It's so good. But they come up with a plan to hide Derek, but then Janet and Derek get in a fight, and they're not getting along. So Derek runs away, and the trio finds him in a tree, and that's, dude, I hate Derek so much, dude. It just doesn't make sense. Like, the chaos of his character is just strictly chaos. Like, that's all he is, and I just want to bitch slap him.
Dude, he gets so frustrating, and he returns later in the show too.
Oh God, no! Oh no!
It's slightly better.
No. But while the trio is trying to get him out of the tree, Janet, does her little like pops into reality and gives the group a wedding invitation, and it's to Tahani and Jason's wedding, which doesn't really make sense because the whole last episode they were like kind of arguing and fighting and like, you know, having soulmate relation problems and stuff like that. And then they get sent off, you know, B plot. They get sent out on like a day spa kind of thing, and they end up playing like croquet and like having a nice fun time. But while they're playing croquet, Tahani is like, you know, teaching Jason, and then Jason's like, oh, we should play this game, which is just smashing shit. Like literally just puts a croquet ball on top of a nice like glass cup and just yeets it. And then Tahani sees like that she can just be herself around Jason, and so she also just kind of starts thrashing things around.
Mm-hmm.
And then they sit down and like on a picnic blanket kind of thing, and Jason is like, yo, you should marry me, because that's what Jason does to every female that likes him so far in the show,
That
is
is
to just
true.
marry them.
The two marriages we've seen in the show have both included
It's just
Jason.
been absolutely like an irrational thought. Like,
Me-
oh, I mean, this, marry me, you know?
to be fair, if we've learned anything about real life, those are the people who get married first.
Oh, yeah, you're not wrong at all. This is a correct statement. We've just seen it twice though,
Exactly.
in not reality. This is
Yeah.
which is even more weird. Um but so they're getting married, right? And then the trio are like, "No, don't do it," kind of thing. They go to break up the wedding and expose that Jason got married to Janet in a previous, you know, 800 reboots. He got married to her at one point. And Eleanor gave Janet like bad advice when she was like, you know, to get a rebound guy. She didn't mean to like create a rebound guy and make the most stupid, annoying character that has touched this show. And so she says, "Hey, it was bad advice, and don't do it." And Janet is like, she's like, "Okay, I'm good now, I guess." And everything's good and chipper. And then Eleanor tells Chidi that she has feelings for him because, you know, they kind of at one point in this show they talk about like um information, like how do I what is that called again? Withhold, like they pretty much talk about withholding information in this. Like,
Oh yes,
don't,
they say withholding information isn't necessarily bad, as long as with the information you're withholding doesn't cause harm to others.
yeah. And so she ends up telling him out of that kind of like thinking, and then he doesn't reciprocate feelings, or
Yeah,
he
because
doesn't really know.
she
Yeah, she
shows the
shows him
video.
the video of them sleeping together with Mindy made, right? Her name's
Hmm.
Mindy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mindy, the anti-porn.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Chidi doesn't share feelings, kind of. Um and Eleanor gets all embarrassed, but then Michael shows up and is um sorry. Michael shows up and is getting better, and it shows that he is still struggling with making the right decisions, but wants to know how she keeps getting better.
Yeah, how she's doing it, because he's like, I just don't get how you do this, and she's like, why?
Eleanor, got
Yeah,
it,
Eleanor,
got
and
it, got it,
and
got it,
Eleanor's
got it.
like, why are you asking me? And he's like, cause you're the most problematic person I've ever met, and you keep getting better. How do you do this?
Yeah, no facts. Like, dude, it's so funny. Ah, and yes, just hearing that, and then like knowing how the show ends is just like nice.
It's
But then Michael's boss, Sean, shows up at the very end of this episode and is like, you know, dun dun dun.
Yeah, and it showed Michael like walks into the office and Sean's sitting there. He's like, "Hello there, Michael."
Yeah.
Um, I real quick something about the when they go to break up the wedding. What I love about that scene is Michael looks at Chidi. He's like, "Look, man, I get we're trying to be ethical because he wants to break up their relationship at first, but Chidi says no because that's going to cause harm to them. We can't do that." And he's like, "Look, dude, I get we're trying to be ethical, but like I'm trying not to be fucked right now in a bad situation and get retired. So work with me." He's like, "Okay, look, we can break up their relationship to save Tahani and Jason future harm before they get married, but we
Yeah.
can't do that with the intent to kill Derek." and 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 uh, and then Michael's like, "Got it. I have to kill any suspicion that I want to kill Derek." He's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, I have to make sure that." I mean, he's like, "Okay. So I need to break them up without wanting to kill Derek, but it wouldn't be bad if Derek does die because of
Yeah.
it." Wink. And he's like, "No, why are you winking?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna kill Derek." Wink. And he's like, "Stop winking. It makes it worse."
Yeah.
And then and he's like, "Okay, sweet, thanks, Cheaty." And then he runs, and Eleanor does the wink thing too and leaves.
Dude, I love the chaotic relationship that Michael and Eleanor have. Like how
Yeah,
similar they are,
they
which is
definitely
just
have like
really weird.
they have like a like best friend energy, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that is facts. That is facts. But the next episode starts off with Sean, Michael's boss, being like, "Yo, dude, good job on this second run. You guys are pulling in really good numbers." And Michael is like, yeah, no, it's going great. It's amazing. Like it's so good. And so cuz Michael's not on attempt 2. He's on like 802. But he accepts to get he accepts to get a raise, and he gets a fancy pin. So it cuz doesn't Vicky also try and interrupt that meeting as well?
Yeah, so Vicky tries to interrupt, and Michael pulls her out into the hallway, and he's like, "Look," and she's like, "What's going on, Michael? I do all the hard work, and now you're getting the
Oh, yeah.
promotion." And he's like, "No, Vicky, look, if you tell Sean that you're the one who ran this reboot, then he's gonna find out about the rest of the reboots, and then we're all gonna be fucked." And she's like,
Yep.
"Okay." And he's like, "So how about this? You just play along, make sure none of the demons tell anyone, no one in the crew talks about any of the reboots." And then
Yeah.
once get my promotion, I'll make sure Sean knows that you were a big help and get you some kudos. And then Vicky's like, "Okay, good, because Mama wants a promotion
Yeah. Yep.
because Vicky's mensch."
Yes, dude. Vicky's so annoying. So him and Sean call the four humans, our four humans in, and is like, surprise, you're in the bad place, and it's this awkward like reveal to them because they already know, right? Like the four of them, they already know that's like what's happening in the show right now because they're all
Mm-hmm.
pretending, and so it's just this awkward, like, ha ha ha, you're being tortured. And it's just kind of, dude, I'm not going to lie, it actually made me like super uncomfortable because I feel like that would be terrifying.
Yeah, because then they could retroactively be like, wait a minute. Were we just played for like the last like 4 months by
No,
Michael?
exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
is this like the reveal, or is this like the reveal that we already know, so we need to play along that we didn't know?
Yeah. Which is like one of the things that the group kind of talk about later. Um, because the whole group is like, no, we shouldn't like we shouldn't trust him, like he sold us out, but Eleanor's like, nah, like he's got us, like he's been leaving like a bunch of references and like hints like throughout the whole episode kind of. And then um they have dude, they have the best thing
This
probably in all of season 2.
this is arguably the best like scene, like the best bit they do
Yes.
in all season 2. I can agree with you there. I
Yes, is
love
the Comedy Central roast.
oh, it's so funny.
It's so good. It's so funny, dude.
When I love what I love about this show is this show starts when the Jaguars are bad, and then in the third season is when the Jaguars make it to the AFC Championship game. Because remember, for a little bit the Jags were good again. Um,
Not
and
gonna
they
lie, no.
and they were good for 1 year, and they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game in like 2017, and they talk about that in the third season. But in season 2, up until this point, they're still bad. And in the Comedy Central roast, they make a joke about Jason actually thinking that Derek Bortles, because he calls him Derek Bortles, not Blake Bortles, but he calls him
Yeah,
Derek
as a
Bortles.
hint. Yeah.
Yes, as a hint. He's like, and you actually think he's good, like, and he makes a joke about the Jags sucking, and he can't believe he actually supports that team. He's like, no, all we need is a defense and an offense and a quarterback, and
Yeah.
and we'll be
All
good.
we need is an entirely new team.
Yeah.
But Michael, dude, he just goes off and he roasts all of them. And the humans don't think that Michael is gonna be on their side anymore.
Because he
Um,
go, it's not like just like little jabs.
no,
Like he
he
goes
burns
in.
them. Yeah, he absolutely roasts them, like roasts them.
Oh yeah.
Especially to Eleanor, dude. Like he stabs her.
Oh yeah, and he like because he makes a joke about he makes a joke about like he makes a joke about this is where Eleanor really belongs.
Yeah.
He's like, you said you need a meeting place, but you really belong here. And she's like, oh, funny joke, dude. And he's like, oh, you want to hear a joke? You love Chidi and he doesn't love you back. Boom, roasted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Dude,
then
it was so good.
everyone loses their shit. And I can't even remember the bit that happens, but Jason peeps up and says something dumb, and then Michael's like, Jason Mendoza, everyone.
Oh,
And
it's well, no, that's the very very end of it. So
yeah,
yes, no, I remember.
okay.
Yes, that was so funny.
Because I don't remember what Jason said to trigger that, but I love that bit every time.
Yeah. Oh goodness. But Michael is giving them like clues in the roast on how to like get away and hide. So they took Derek and they sent him to Mindy's on the train with tons of cocaine, because
That's all she asks
why
for.
not? Yeah.
That's
Every time we
literally
see her.
all she asks for is cocaine. She's like, did
Well,
you bring me cocaine?
yeah, every time, dude. It's so fucking annoying. While that happened, they were hiding under the train. So he got all of the demons and everything to get on top of the train. Not on top, but like in the train, right? And they had Bad Janet like scan the whole like the whole
Neighborhood.
park,
Yeah,
whole neighborhood.
because Vicky's saying that Michael's the one who's behind this.
Yeah, he's blackmailing Vicky at the moment.
Yes.
He's pinning it all on her so that when they get back to the bad place, like their domain in the bad place, then it'll be all her fault. While Michael, Janet, and the four humans all run for the good place. All run to the hills, and that's pretty much episode 8. It's all successful, and they make a break for it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I love the part where the whole episode Janet has magnets on, and this is when we learn that magnets make Janet drunk.
Janet.
Yeah, and it turns
Yes.
off her powers too. And while that's happening, Michael throughout the party, because they start like burning down the neighborhood and like stuff throughout the party, because they're partying to it, the bad people. He starts whispering in Janet's ear, and
something
he's just
something Vicky something.
yeah, that's all he's saying the whole time. But Vicky keeps freaking out, and it's great because he knows Vicky's like suspicious of him. So
Yeah.
he does that, so then Vicky will like try to take off the bracelets, and another person, one of the demons, sees that. And so when Vicky tries to rat Michael out, the other demon shows up. She's like, I accuse Vicky. I saw her trying to take off Janet's
Oh yeah, she
bracelets.
gets cocooned.
Yep, and then Sean, after that happens, and then they scan the neighborhood and none of the humans are there. Sean cocoons her, and the humans were hiding under the train, which they're literally, when she scans the neighborhood, she's scanning everything except the train.
Yeah,
Which is
which makes sense.
yeah,
But at the same time, doesn't make sense.
considering I guess that is like the edge in the neighborhood, you think you just do right to left. You know what I mean? They don't think like
Oh yeah.
there's nothing behind the train, so I get why they did it. But it's like it's a risky play for sure.
Oh, 100%, dude.
But what'd you think of this episode, dude?
I liked it. It's probably one of my favorites just because we get to see like Michael scheming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like we also as the audience like kind of have to question him as well. Like is he actually going to turn them in? Like is he going to turn them over, or is he actually planning to like help them escape? Because I think the cool thing that this show does is they give the audience like context more than some of the characters, or sometimes will be on the same page as the characters, like learning with them. And this was one of the episodes where we got to learn with the characters whether or not Michael is trying to save them or not. And at the end of the episode, like when they all sit up from the tracks, Chidi's like, "Oh God, no, I'm never doing this again," or something like that. Like worst idea ever. And then Michael just kind of like starts like weeping, like, "Oh, I'm so happy you guys are safe. I tried to save you guys," and it's just like
I was so
it's sweet
worried.
yeah, sweet and wholesome. But I really, really liked this one, and to see drunk Janet, like you were talking about, dude,
Yeah.
is so funny.
She's so dude, it is when Vicky's trying to take off her bracelets.
Yeah.
She's like, "Get off me, Victoria. Get your own bracelet."
Yeah.
And the way she says Victoria, it's just funny.
What about you?
I really like this episode. This is probably my second favorite episode out of the full season. My
Nice.
favorite episode is episode 10. But this episode is probably my second favorite episode in the whole season, because like same reasons, we get to see Michael kind of act like a bad person again, and you don't really know if Michael's on their side or not, and then you kind of like see the clues that the humans are picking up on. Plus the roast is just too good. Like there's so many
funny
bangers of jokes the whole time. It's like he makes a joke at Chidi. He's like, "Chidi, when you're teaching the trolley problem, did you secretly wish it was you underneath the trolley the whole time? 'Cause your students did."
Heyo.
Yeah. And you just see like all the bad people, like all the demons, the bad place people are like just losing it. Like it's like a classroom, like a high school classroom when someone roasts someone. Everyone just loses. Yeah, like everyone loses their shit. So episode 9, our characters survive that close call, and our episode starts off with our humans telling Michael to take them to the good place. He brings down a magic air balloon that will take them to the good place, but it requires you to be your best self. I am Marlon the Wizard. Everyone is good to go besides Chidi. The group talks it out with Chidi. He's worried there are other versions of him that are better than him. But Eleanor convinces him, "Hey, look, we're our best selves," because they got the green light, like they were able to get on the balloon due to your help. So you must be your best version. And then he kind of is like, "Oh, so it doesn't really matter what if I think I'm the best person, like my own egotistical, but more of like my impact on others is what makes me my best self." So then he gets on the balloon. Tahani does, Jason does, but now Eleanor can't get on the balloon, and she admits the reason she can't get on is because due to the version of herself that that Eleanor and Chidi were in love is the best version of herself, because she was never able to love. Michael tells them about that reboot, that the simple act of her anticipating Chidi's sneeze sparked their love. And then they walked around a lake and they kissed, and then their love bloomed from there. Tahani then does the most Tahani thing ever and says, "Why don't we send an advance team? While you guys work out your shit, we should send the advance team of people who are already good, so you guys can work out your issues." And then now she can't get on the balloon anymore, and she's like, "No, it thinks I'm Eleanor. Bad. Let me on."
I love that.
Oh, dude. And then even though Tahani's getting better, she's still like the same Tahani kind of deep. They're all like still have like their. It's not like they're perfect, you know what I mean? They still show that side of them.
Character flaws.
Yeah. And then after arguing, Michael reveals that he feels guilty and says, "You guys have so many emotions. All you need is anger and confusion."
Yeah.
And then he tells them the balloon was a farce and that he doesn't know how to get to the good place, that he failed and couldn't figure it out. And then they're all mad at him. He's like, guys, think it from my perspective. I didn't know, but I really did try, and I thought I could really find out a way to do it. But think of it, while I was lying to you and trying to figure out a way to get to the good place, Chidi was teaching me the error of my ways. It's a real a real rock bottom for a demon.
That is facts.
And so they have a party to celebrate their journey before they go to the bad place, because to quote Eleanor, "We could go out the way the shell drop away. Drink and ignore your problems."
I love it.
And so they start talking about it, start having a party. They give Michael a ton of human gifts because he is definitely the best version of himself. And then Eleanor and Chidi talk about their relationship or lack thereof. Eleanor says she likes him and it's okay. He doesn't need to like her as well. She states that he has feelings, but they're not fully there or romantic. He just doesn't know how to process them because of how they met. He explains his mind sounds like a fork in a garbage disposal oftentimes, and how they met makes it grind and grind and grind, and he can't get over it. He just wishes they met like a normal way, like in his class, or an ethics convention, or like she needed help with ethics.
Goodness. Goodness.
And that's when Eleanor's like, "You think that's how people meet?"
Yeah.
And then Tahani drunkenly says, "Let me speak to your manager."
I love it.
And talk to someone about getting into the good place. And that's when Michael says there is a judge, but it would require going to the bad place to get to her. And the group says, "Fuck it, let's do it."
Yes, sir.
So what'd you think of this episode?
I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't my favorite. I didn't. Mm-hmm. It felt like a lull in the story. You know,
yeah.
Like we at the end of episode 8, we're given like, okay, let's get out of here. You know, and then it's just like
they can't.
Yeah, it's just kind of like an odd filler episode almost. Like there's still important things and good topics being brought up in the episode that are things that need to be discussed and things and stuff and things. But
and things and stuff.
But I didn't really like this one cuz I just wanted
story.
More to happen. I wanted story advancement, not more "oh no" kind of stuff, like, or we're not good enough or something. I don't know.
I get that. I do, because like this episode doesn't really move forward a ton.
No.
Because they kind of have to. They kind of needed to do this episode only because like if the balloon worked, it would have been too easy.
Oh, exactly.
And Michael did tell them he had a way to get them to the good place, so that they needed a way to like explain that he lied. And kind of like him stalling, and even though the episode that's kind of why they did it, but I do agree with what you mean though. Like nothing really happens in this episode except character development, and then
it was a sideways step.
Yeah, it was more lateral,
Yeah.
and then we learn where now our goal is, and that's to get to the bad place.
Yeah. To go talk to Burrito.
Yes, which is now, and you'll understand that later. Foreshadowing. Um,
Hey.
but now we get to episode 10, which is my favorite episode of not just the season but the whole show. Um, our lovable humans, our lovable but flawed humans, as we all are, leave the fake good place and start heading towards the bad place on the train. As they leave, they all need to get into disguises as bad place workers. Chidi starts freaking out because he doesn't want to lie. Eleanor tries to talk him through it, but Chidi does Chidi and is super rigid. And then she tells him to rub your lucky bookmark, and when you get nervous, just let Jason do all the talking with his unearned confidence. Michael makes a plan to steal enough bad place pins to get them through the portal to the judge's chambers. Michael takes them to the Museum of Torture, and bad place, like people doing shitty things museum, and leaves them there while he goes gets the pins. Michael talks to Sean. They insult the humans, put on some Axe body spray, and then get down to business. Which I love it, dude. I love. He's like, hey, I got a new flavor of Axe, and he passes it to Michael, and Michael just sprays it on, dude.
Yeah.
Um, and then Michael asks to get some permission to get papers to go to Mindy St. Clair's. He's like, hey, I'll take this to the judge. I'll need 6 pins to take a little small team. We'll go to the judge, get these papers signed, and then we'll go to Mindy's to get the humans, because that's where they think the humans are.
Yeah.
And then, meanwhile, while this is happening, oh, and by the way, Sean says, no, we don't need that. We have a special ops team heading to Mindy's right now because he's bad boy. Meanwhile, our humans are trying to blend in as one of the bad guys. Jason does a perfect job because he's a Chad with douche bro attitude, fits in especially well after he nut taps one of the bad place guys.
Yes.
And then Chidi gets mistaken for Trent, someone that one of the demons used to work with, and he calls him the Master, the Torture Master. One of the demons in the group asks Chidi for some help, but he has no idea how to, because he has no idea how to torture a frat guy who partied with Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah.
While this is happening, Tahani gets in character as Rhonda and starts name dropping even in hell. And then Chidi makes up an excuse to get out of the convo. He goes to Eleanor, and Eleanor tells him to lie his face off. That Eleanor brings up Jonathan Dancy and moral particularism, in which she decides she now is a moral particularist. Particularist? Yeah. There is no absolute rule that you have to decide your actions depending on the situation. Not everything is black and white. And then she explains that that this is a bonkers situation. Life throws you curveballs. You need to adapt. So Chidi gets dragged back to the group of demons by one of the demons, and decides to lie due to the fact that he has to, but he does it in the most Chidi way possible. He says once he had a hard case where he couldn't figure out how to torture this girl, so he gave her moral philosophy books. And he's like, yeah, just give her lots of books. He pretty much told him to give him homework.
Yeah.
And the demons don't really buy it at first, but then Chidi fucking nut taps the shit out of him and yells, "Don't question Trent!" and rolls his R, "The Torture Master!" And then the demons laugh and agree with him to give her books.
Goodness.
Dude, I love that whole scene with Chidi and Jason so much. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And while this happens, Michael steals bad place pins and runs to the museum right before Sean figures out the humans aren't at Mindy's. Janet figures out the party is for the fake good place neighborhood to celebrate the new type of torture they invented. And then they unveil the curtains, and it's all of our humans dressed as robots saying things they would say. And which is so funny and weird because it's like everything they would say. Like Tahani's like, "I would not sound like that," and then like or like she says like a phrase and then the robot pretty much repeats it right back.
Yeah.
It's like the episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender when they're at the Ember Island theaters when Zuko's
Nice.
like, "How dare you?" And he's like, I don't sound like that at all." And then the guy in the play says, "How dare you, Uncle?" And
Yeah.
then he's like, "Oh shit."
Ah, shit.
So our humans get caught, but Jason throws a Molotov cocktail to save the day.
Hey.
They get into the portal, but they're one pin shy. And Michael says he learned the answer to the trolley problem. You sacrifice yourself, and he pushes Eleanor through with the last pin.
Oh.
What do you think of this episode?
I love it. I I don't know if I'd say I love it, but I do really like it. It sets for a good like I think it sets a good next episode because it kind of is like, oh, Michael just sacrifices himself
Mm-hmm.
for them, and
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting it, not gonna lie, but I like this episode.
yeah.
It
Sorry, continue.
I was just gonna say I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I agree. I love this episode. Like I said, I think it's my favorite episode, and I think the reason why I like it so much is I tend to like a lot of episodes. Like my favorite episodes of a lot of sitcoms are like weird, obscure episodes. And I think
Yeah,
the reason why this is my favorite episode is, for one, the world building. We finally get to see like what the bad place is
yeah, that is
outside
true.
of outside of just flashbacks, and we kind of get to see like Michael play into like that bad place worker guy again, which
Yeah.
I love whenever Michael kind of fakes to be a bad guy again. I just find it fun. And
Well, I mean,
then
he doesn't fake being bad. If anything, he's trying to be good.
fair, he
Because
just kind of falls back into
yeah,
his old
yeah, he
habits.
yeah falls back into being a demon.
And then I think it's super funny to watch the humans attempt to not get caught,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's hilarious to watch the demons kind of be like jerks to each other, but them being jerks is kind of like cordial in a way. And like they're all like kind of like one of the demons tells Tahani she's about to take a deuce, and she's like, "You want me to grab you a turd?" And Tahani's like, "Nah, I'm good." And she's like, "You sure you don't want one? Just a little pinch?" She's like, "Nah, I'm good." And he's like, "Okay, suit yourself." It's like it would be like someone about to be like, "I'm gonna go grab a drink. Do you want something?" Like they're being cordial, they're being nice, but like
yeah,
their version of nice is being complete assholes.
yeah. That's tough.
And then I also love to see I think this episode, out of all the episodes in season 2, show the most growth for Eleanor because she starts giving Chidi advice. And we see her really not just like start to grow as a person, but now she actually has like her own strong moral compass. She has her own philosophy and ethics she can stand on, and she's able to give Chidi advice. And then we get to see Chidi grow and start to kind of like realize maybe doing everything the way he did on Earth is what got him in the bad place. Maybe he needs to be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah,
And then it's cool to see glimpses of Michael kind of learning to change. Like at the end when he sacrifices himself, it's really touching, and I love that. I like to see. It's sad to see him die, or we sacrifice himself and leave himself to die pretty much because he's gonna get retired if he gets caught. And
yeah.
so
Facts.
I just think it's an odd episode like in the way, but I also think it's like super funny and it has a lot of good growth and good character building and world building, and I just love it. Whenever I'm like I just want to watch The Good Place, but I don't know what really episode I want to watch, I go to this episode.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but that leads us into our next episode, 11.
Yes, they walk through like a Rick and Morty portal essentially, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And they'll go poof, and then they're in this like corridor with like a bunch of wall like doors on the walls, like four doors. Yeah, two on each side, left and right, and then a desk at the very end of the room, and it's
Yeah.
got a burrito on it, and they're like they kind of start like arguing over the burrito, like magical burrito kind of thing.
Because they think the burrito's the judge.
Yeah, and so they kind of like start like, oh, it's good burrito, but the judge comes out and it's just her judge, or it's just her the judge, um, and sh- I personally, I don't like that actress.
Oh,
I don't
really?
think, dude, I don't think she's funny in like almost anything, but I liked her as the judge. I thought that it was a good role for her, but in most of the other things that I've seen her in, I don't really like her. Um, I think there's this Amazon show that she's in that I really really like, but other than that, I'm not a big fan. But um, yeah, her name is Maya Rudolph, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Maya.
I think it's Maya. It's spelled Maya, so I
Yeah,
think that's Maya. I know I've seen her in some other stuff, but like nothing like off the top of my head that like
she does a
pops
lot of
out.
Saturday Night Live and
Yeah,
stuff.
she's been in a lot of things, but this is
Yeah,
definitely my favorite role of hers.
yeah,
And
I would agree.
she's so funny in this, and she's a reoccurring character. Dude, it's so good.
Nice, nice. So she listens to their reasonings and she gets bored, and so she's like, okay, let me read your guys' files, and I'll let you know if you guys can go or not. And she's like, she pretty much just does like one of these, like opens them, flips through them, and she's like, nope, you can't go. Sorry. And Tahani gives like a really passionate speech, and the judge decides to give them all like one last individual test, but the grade will be like, so if one of them passes, cool. If one of them fails, then all of them fail.
Which, by the
So
way, isn't what the judge says. That's what they ask to be
yeah,
judged
that's
that
what they
way.
ask for. They ask to be judged as a group,
Yeah.
which is like kind of really fucking stupid.
She's like, if I could send you to the bad place idea, I would, cause that one's a stinker.
Yeah.
But okay.
So Daniel and I, we're gonna go through each one of the tests that they go through. So Eleanor's test is that her, Chidi, and the judge, they all stay in that room while Tahani and Jason go out and play, or not play, but go out and do their tests, right? And
Hmm.
so they're all in there, and we find out that it, like, she doesn't know that her test has started, but she does at the same time. I don't really know, but she figures out that like she figures out that she's in the test because Chidi like agrees with her or something, and the thing that he agrees on is like not something that Chidi would agree on. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, cause he says, cause like, pretty much the test is the judge says you can go to the good place, but you should
Yes.
rethink
Oh, right.
you,
Yeah.
what you said, which is one, all of us have to go or none of us go. Because she's pretty much saying that Chidi and Eleanor are already passed.
Yeah.
And Chidi's like, don't we deserve to be happy? They're going to the bad place either way. Why don't we just go? And that's kind of what flips the switch in her brain,
Yeah,
thinking that,
Eleanor's like
yeah,
Chidi would never say something like that.
exactly.
And it is just super cool. And then we find out that she passes the test, and we're like, "Ah, sick, cool." Well, there's one of four.
Yeah, and then we move on to Jason, and he's brought into like a white room with like a big TV, an Xbox, and a
A
beanbag.
beanbag.
And he's told that this is on the Xbox is Madden, the
Madden
new.
18
Yep.
specifically.
And that he could only play as the Tennessee Titans against the Jags. And before she even finishes the statement and says what the whole test is, he cuts her off and says, "Don't worry, Judge Lady, I got this." And
Yeah.
he starts playing he first complains saying, "I don't want to play the Titans. But the Jags are the best. The Titans suck." And then he looks at her, "You know that, because this is the test." And she's like, "That's not a revelation. I already told you this is the test."
Oh yeah, when she comes back in later and he's like sitting like meditating.
Yeah.
And dude, that's so funny.
And then he does win, but he fails the test because
With
he
a
wasn't.
last second field goal.
Yeah, he wins with a walk-off field goal,
Yep.
but he fails his test because he wasn't supposed to play the game at all.
Yeah.
He was supposed to use self-restraint, but because he couldn't fucking listen to the judge for 5 seconds, he didn't know that.
Yup. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. That would be the hardest test out of all of them. Is to play the Tennessee Titans forever.
I playing as the Tennessee Titans against the Jags would be a difficult one. I think Tahani's is the hardest test.
Dude, especially that year. Nah, dude.
I mean, Tennessee
They
Titans
don't
were
even have
trash.
Derrick Henry yet.
Yeah, they don't have Derrick Henry. They don't have AJ Brown. They don't even have
Nope.
Tannehill yet. They still have Marcus
Nope.
Mariota.
Yep.
Oh, that would be such a bad team, dude, to win.
And you're playing against your favorite team as well.
Yeah.
It would just suck.
Which the Jags aren't good yet in that year. They have Blake
Nope.
Bortles, and they have some of the defensive players, but they don't have Leonard Fournette yet. They don't have.
Yeah, they have no one.
They don't have what's his name, Jalen Ramsey yet.
Yeah.
Because they drafted Jalen Ramsey the year they went to the championship. No, I think they had Fournette.
I think
that year, but they didn't have Ramsey.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But then Cheaty's test is that he has to choose between a brown hat and a white hat. And that's it. And it took him 84 minutes. Took him over an hour to choose between two hats, and he failed because of that.
Yeah, Cheaty had the easiest test possible. I
don't know about that, but I will agree.
Look, I'm indecisive too, and I would have spent a lot of time thinking about which hat. Would not have spent an hour and a half though. Come on. Choose a hat and get out of there.
Dude, I've spent a really long time on decisions like this. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time too, but I don't know. When you know that you're gonna get a test like that, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm not as indecisive as I think.
Dude, I'm uber indecisive. It's bad.
Would you have failed that test, Eric?
Yes, I think I would have.
Well, I can tell you the test I would have failed, and it's Tahani's test. I definitely would have failed this one.
I think anybody would have failed this one.
Dude, Tahani by far has the hardest test.
Yeah, I think the only person that would pass it would be her. But she doesn't.
She does?
Does?
Yeah, she doesn't, but morally kind of does pass.
I kind of feel like she does, even though she doesn't. She does.
She fails the test, but still comes out victorious in a way.
Yeah.
So her test is she has to walk down a hallway full of red doors, and then each door has labeled with who's in it. And everyone in the rooms are talking about her.
It's like all the names that she plugs all the time.
Yep, all the famous people, they're all on there. And so she has to walk by each door and not walk in. And the test is to make sure, test whether or not she's willing to care so much about what people think of her that she would give up the good place just to see what other people think of her. Because she's always putting on that face. And she cares so much about a social hierarchy.
Yeah. She cares about people's decisions. She cares about people's thoughts about herself.
Exactly. And so she's walking past all the doors, she makes it to the end, and some of the combos of people she says are so fucking wild.
So good.
And she gets to the last door in the hallway, and it's her parents. And which to be honest, out of like if I had to do this test, I think they're the last people I would walk through the doors to see. like
I was
like
gonna
not
say, yeah, no, I feel like that's the last person. Like, I feel like that would be the easiest one to just be like, yeah, they're always talking about me, especially in her shoes, you know?
yeah, she already knows what they think of her, but she's
Yeah,
so desperate for their approval that she can't help it.
yeah,
So she walks in and her parents are talking about her, but they're talking about how big of a disappointment she is
yep,
comparative to her sister Camilla, and then start talking about Camilla more.
yeah,
And her parent, and she's like, go figure that even in this scenario when everyone's talking about me, you still find a way to talk about Camilla. And despite failing the test, she in the final moment she overcame her need to have her parents' approval by standing up for herself and telling them that she's flagged the Floridian, that she ate Cheetos, that she's done a lot of stuff that they would never be proud of, and she's happy despite that, and leaves.
you're, she grew up.
It's such a touching moment.
It really is. It really is. Yeah, I feel like hers would be the hardest one.
Oh, by far, easy. That Tahani's is at least the hardest one for me. I think for most people would be the hardest because we kind of, despite what people like to say, we all kind of deep down care what others think of us. It's just letting that control us or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's big facts, dude. So the judge starts to go through everyone's results, and she's like, uh, Jason, you failed because you interrupted me, an omniscient being with endless power. You interrupted me. And then she's like, Tahani, you failed because you went in a door. Chidi, you failed because you can't pick a hat. And then she gets to Eleanor, and then right before she says, like, and Eleanor, you passed, Eleanor interrupts and is like, oh, I also failed, guys. Yeah, shucks, darn. And then Michael shows up with Janet the last second to save the humans. Ah,
I love that Eleanor, even in that moment,
sticks with
is
the homies.
sticks up for her homies so then they don't feel bad.
Yep. Daniel, what do you think your test would be?
Dude, that's a good question.
It's a hard
That's
fucking
that's a
question.
hard question. I feel like my test would probably have to do with actually my test would probably have to do with like having to like stand up for myself or confront something.
Ooh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably what it would be. I
Yeah.
mean, like I have my addiction stuff that like I sometimes struggle with self-control, but even then it's like I work hard to try to work through that. And even though I do
Yeah.
sometimes let other people's opinion of me kind of control
Shape.
my emotions and shape me a little bit, I try really hard to like not focus on it too much. And I feel like
Yeah.
I've grown in those two areas. Something that I do
Yeah.
find hard is confrontation. Oh, I hate confrontation.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be something like that. What about you?
Mine would probably be something about trust.
Mm,
Like actually trusting someone.
ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
I think that would be like I think that would be mine. 'Cause that's like
That's hard.
yeah. Yeah, that shit's hard.
Trust is
Dude.
scary. You have to be
Oh,
vulnerable.
100%.
You have
Well,
to be vulnerable.
I mean not only that, but you actually have to take someone's word for what they say, you know?
Yeah.
And then like not I guess like not try and see through something that might not be there or so I don't know. People I have father issues. Continue.
Episode
uh
12.
number episode 12. Michael starts to make his case that he thinks the score of that the four human scores were wrong, and that things can change, and that they can have another chance, which I don't know about that one. And while the judge and Michael discuss the situation, we see Janet
Oh,
tell
because
Jason,
real
huh?
quick, and
Yes,
something also
continue.
to add on to that, Michael also specifies that he thinks the system that they use to judge the humans is wrong,
Oh yeah,
because
facts.
they shouldn't have gotten better in
Yeah,
his afterlife
yeah.
neighborhood.
His
That
his his experiment shows, kind of thing,
yeah, he's
that
like they got
humans can
better
get better.
always. Every time they got better. Why is that? They shouldn't have been able to. If our system was as concrete as we think so, that they would that they shouldn't be able to get better, that they are bad.
Yeah. So they're discussing the situation, and Janet tells Jason that she is in love with him. She is gonna stop running from her feelings and tries to rationalize them by saying the situation is complicated. Jason says that he loves her back. Chidi sees all this kind of go down and walks over to Eleanor and lays a big one on her, kisses her, and she's like, "Hot diggity dog!" And dude, I laughed so hard when she
It's
said
such a
that.
genuine response.
Honestly, though.
I
Um,
I love it too. Where she's like, "Damn it! Now the first time we kissed each other will always be hot diggity dog." And then she looked at
yeah,
him all like doughy eye. I stand by it. It was a
I
genuine
stand by
reaction.
it. I stand by it. After coming up with a shit plan of putting the humans in the medium place where they would all be alone, because, that's how that works, Michael convinces the judge to put them back onto Earth and give them, like, a second chance. Like, give them a little nudge to do something better. And so they all get put back in their old lives. And we see Eleanor like really change as a person for like 6 months.
Hmm.
She works for like a charity, and she's just like always being a good person. She even tells her friends that she made the t-shirts about, like the dress bitch t-shirts. She tells her friend that she did that, um, which gets her kicked out of her apartment, and just a lot of other things. Like she stopped selling shitty medicine, fake medicine to people. But all of that kind of ends with her running out of steam, like with her like not wanting to be a good person anymore because it's hard and it's you know
She's getting
fatigue.
sued for being a good person. She's like, what did I get out of it? I got a loose caboose and a lawsuit.
Yeah. And so she ends up kind of just like reverting back to old her, sort of.
Hmm.
But then she sees this like what 4 part like why like what we owe to other people kind of thing, like what we owe to each other. And it's like a 4 part, like each episode is like 40 minutes, and it's being told, like the TED Talk essentially is being told by Chidi. It's a lecture for the school that he works at. And so Eleanor, she flies to Australia and meets him, which is exactly how he wanted to be met, by some cute
Hmm.
girl in an ethics conversation. And she
Hmm.
barges in the door and she's like, "Yo, I'm Eleanor." And then that's pretty much the end of the season.
Yep. And by the way, the reason she came up with the idea to look up that video is because Michael broke the rules and
Oh,
went
okay,
back
time
down
out,
to the
time out,
earth.
time out. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, it's a little important.
So, no, just a little, a lot. I forget. Um, and Michael, dude. Okay, so you know that actor? His first TV show was on Cheers, right? And that was the role that he played. He played the bartender.
Oh, I did not know
So to
that.
like seeing him behind the bar again was like nice, nice. At least I think he played the bartender. I'm pretty sure he did.
I've never
Um,
watched Cheers. I just know of Cheers.
I've seen some episodes. I don't know the whole thing. Um, but yeah, he so to see him behind the bar again with like, you know, the towel over the shoulder being like, "Nah, tell me about your troubles, kid," you know, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
a
It's
familiar
just
role.
yeah, it was just kind of it was funny. It was like it was almost like a cameo for himself, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really cool. But they talked about like life and all that jazz. It was really cool.
And then he vaguely puts the title of "What Do We Owe to Each Other" in her mind because
Yeah.
she's like drunk talking about how it's her birthday, and last year on her birthday she decided to be a good person, and when she says it sucks, you don't get anything out of it, and yeah, he sets her on the path to meet Chidi.
Yep. Which is cheating.
Oh, absolutely
Oh,
cheating.
that's why your name is Cheaty.
Yeah, because they're supposed to cheat off of you. Dude, Jason's little bits are always so funny. Like when
It's
he
because he's
jumps in,
slow.
he's so funny. Um,
Like during the roast, dude. He
yeah,
didn't like the thing that like this is last episode we talked about the roast, I think, right?
yeah,
Yes.
or
And
yeah, it was a couple during this part, but a couple episodes ago. But yeah, continue.
yeah. And he literally like at the very end of it, he like chimes in and like understands a joke that was like at the beginning. Or like you remember when he gets insulted like towards the beginning
Mm-hmm.
and then he replies at the very end. And then that's when Michael's like, Jason Mendoza, everybody, and everyone's like,
Yup,
ah. Yeah.
yup.
I need to
It's
rewatch that part. Man gets roasted.
yeah, he does. I need to watch that roast again. I, dude, it's such a nice ending, and we get to see our humans back on Earth,
Yeah,
and
that is
that
true.
leads, and that's what leads to
Next
season
season.
3.
Next season.
So what do you think of the plot twist at the end of them going back to Earth?
I didn't like it.
You don't like it?
No. I didn't like it at all. To be
Why?
honest. Like I don't know. I think the thing that I liked about them being like in the bad place slash, you know, the good place is that like every episode was going to be like obscure in some aspect. Like it was going to be crazy. Like no matter what I
Yeah,
knew cuz like
yeah,
anything can happen because like Janet can make anything. Michael can control everything like with the snap of his fingers, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
like every episode was just like mystery. And now that they're back on Earth, my thinking for season 3 is like it's just going to be more real, which is going to make me depending on like what they do and how they write and what story they're trying to tell, like it's either going to make me love the show more because it's going to be more realistic and I'll be able to relate to it more, or it's going to be too realistic and I'm going to realize fuck I hate this because I need to work on my life and then I won't like it, but I'll still like it because it would be the right thing to do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to be called out by a TV show. That's why I
I
don't like the twist.
I don't think you will feel that way. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, I'm
I
still gonna
think
watch season 3, and I'm still going to enjoy it just because
yeah,
I want to see the characters grow and change and stuff like that. But just like the mystery, like it feels like it can be lost from them being back on Earth, you know?
yeah. I
And
can.
like and like this time I didn't like watch any cuz like last time I finished season 1, I watched into season 2, and this time felt like this was like a full stop, you know? Like
Mm,
this was actually a good cliffhanger to leave people on, which makes me feel like season 3 is going to be a big change, which scares me because big changes in TV shows are hit or miss. Are miss. They are hits or misses for me. English, got 'em. Boom.
um,
First try.
I mean, without spoiling anything about the season, I will.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
no,
it's
please don't.
yeah, I won't. It is a bit of a change. Because I mean, the setting's different. They're not in
Oh
the
yeah,
bad place and stuff.
yeah.
So like
The whole
that,
set's gonna change.
yeah. So obviously there is some differences about it. Um, I can definitely agree with you that them going out of the afterlife does take away some of like the uniqueness of the show. that comparative to other sitcoms. I would say they still do it in a way that makes it feel very unique comparatively.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel samey. And also, but a lot of the tone of the show still follows, even though it's no longer in the afterlife.
Yeah, I
So
wouldn't
I
expect
think
them to write differently.
you'll still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Um, Especially because it kind of, yeah. I'm not gonna say much more. I think you'll like it. I don't think it will be a turn off the way you kind of expect it to. But you're right. Change in TV shows can be very polarizing
Oh yeah. I mean, change in life.
in general. What'd you think of season 2? Was it better than season 1? Did you like it better than season 1? Did you just like in general? Was it good, worse? What'd you think of it?
I cannot lie. I feel like I would put this show not in seasons. Like I would say like the first and second season are just like part 1, if that makes sense, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's actually like a full stop now. Like I feel like they've actually finished and like I feel like they've finished an arc of them leaving. So I wouldn't really say like it's better or worse than the first season just because I don't really see where the first one ends and the next one begins, you know? Because they're just on the same path like the whole time.
I mean, I get that, and they're kind of
Yeah.
they're I can understand that, and we know where the path of season 3 is going, considering Michael and Janet are still monitoring them and to see if they get better.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
now, instead of them being in the bad place and fighting the machine, the humans, it's now like Michael and Janet hoping that the good people, the humans can prove them right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is true. I think if I were to just say which season I like more though,
Mm-hmm.
I think I like I really like the first season. Like I
Yeah.
really like the first season. Um I like the second season. I do think the comedy in this season is a lot funnier than the first one. And that might just be because it grew on me, like this style of humor. Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I watched this show, I didn't really like the comedy. I thought it was like kind of stupid. But the more that I've watched, I'm like, yes, this makes sense. This is funny. So I feel like the comedy hit better than the first season, but I really like the pacing of the first season. Like it's not as I feel like the second season is a lot more comedy than the first season, but I don't know, dude. It's really difficult.
I think the second season's a bit faster paced than the first
It
season
is.
is.
It jumps. It jumps. Like
It goes
the
a
first
lot
part,
quicker.
yeah. The first part really ends season 1 and the second part really starts season 3.
Hmm. And I can agree to that. I think also the reason why I think the humor kind of amps up more in season 2 is because Michael becomes a character.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Michael's no longer like
Yeah.
Michael the outsider. It's like Michael is a part of the group now.
Michael, the frozen yogurt loving jump scared Michael.
Yeah, it's now we have Michael the demon,
Yeah,
and I think that it's what the actor's name is Ted Dancing. Ted,
I I think so.
I think so. I'm gonna just quickly, but yeah, that actor is just so funny. Dancing. He brings a lot to the show in general, and I really enjoy him as like part of the crew and part of their team.
Yeah.
I can understand it being hard to choose between the two seasons though, because they're both really good. Like I don't want to downplay season 1. I think season 1 in
Yeah.
its own way is just super unique, and it's
There's
good for a whole different reason.
yeah.
I just think I love season 2 because we kind of get to see season 2 is like season 1 with the veil is off,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and
You were right about that one. I like that.
that's what I like about season 2. You know what I mean? Because now you know the secret. You know there's a bomb under the table.
Yeah.
Well, would you say it's notable?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like that. I don't need to explain anything about that.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
100%. Do you think it is?
Oh, 1000%. I love this show.
I know it's a stupid
Yeah,
question on my end. I know
yeah.
you think it is.
Yeah, season 2 is my favorite season. I like
Yeah.
season 2 more than 1, but I can understand if it's hard for you to choose.
How much notable is Good Place?
Like up to this point or in total?
I mean, bro, we got a whole rating system now.
So, yes.
We got
So
1 to 10. We got National Treasure.
I would say Good Place, the show is
We
National Treasure.
I will also say we don't have like because like National Treasure I feel like is for movies, right?
Mhm.
So like what if we have like instead of National Treasure, what if we have A Good Place?
It's The Good Place. Yeah, a
Yeah.
1 to The Good Place. Dude, I'm
Yes,
down for
1 to
that.
10 and then Good Place.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say this is The Good Place. I would say this is out of all the shows I think out of all the shows we go over, this is probably my favorite show that
I
we've
like it.
reviewed.
And
And
it will start having this rating system
for TV
for all
shows.
of the TV shows after this one. So all the ones
Yes.
before this one, we can't rate it yet. We can't rate them like that because it's we're this is a notch in the timestamp. Everything else before now was scaled differently, so everything else going on will now be scaled correctly.
I will say that it's hard to like fully go over like it's hard for me to give a full rating of just the season without like intertwining
Spoiling.
feelings of like later seasons.
Yeah, no, then
Uh,
that makes sense.
I will say this season overall I think is a banger. I think it picks up where 1 leaves off and does things that 1 does, but does them better in ways. And then 1 does some things that 2 doesn't do, but also I think 2 builds on the universe in a really cool way. And
It does. It really expands everything.
and 2 starts to show the throwbacks. So like
Yeah,
I mentioned
that's true.
earlier, this show has so many fucking throwbacks, dude. It is constantly intertwining shit. Like you said, how Chidi said he wants to meet a cute girl, like the normal way. Then
Yeah.
she walks into his office that way. Fucking throwback.
Yeah.
When Eleanor admits to the dress bitch thing, that's a throwback to season 1.
Yeah.
When Michael's grilling her and about the dress bitch thing,
I mean
and she tells that
there's a
story.
whole arc in season 1. Like they follow that story very close in season 1.
Exactly. And like there's so many times in this season 1 and even in this season where they say something and I've been wanting to talk about it on the podcast. I'm like, oh, that's
but you
a
can't yet.
I can't yet because they haven't
Yeah.
brought it up yet. I'm like, oh, but that's a throwback.
It would be
That's
like
foreshadowing and you don't even know it. That's
do
like
you
a
want to know
little
what's something crazy? Is
dude,
that
it's so good.
that's called an inside joke.
No, dude, I'm in the know and I just want to share it with you.
Yeah,
But I can't yet.
that
I
is
can't
like
yet.
that's when you try to watch a movie with a friend and it's your favorite movie and you just tell them everything before it's gonna happen. I do this. I do this. Don't watch movies with me. Listen, watch movies with me, but if I'm like, dude, we need to watch this movie, like it's so good. If I'm like that, I will talk through the whole thing. Don't watch movies with me when I'm like that about a movie, because I'll ruin it.
Dude, when
Just
it comes
just that's a warning for anybody listening. If I'm raving about a movie,
to don't watch it
don't
with
watch
me.
it with me. That is when I am most talkative, because all I want to do is talk about what is on screen, and I
Yeah.
won't let you appreciate it.
Well, you want to take us out?
Yes, sir. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode of the Noted Podcast. We appreciate the support and listening. If you enjoy it, you should push like and maybe subscribe and turn on notifications and all that jazz, because fun stuff. We recently released Midnight Mass 1, and Daniel, did 2 go up?
No, we're gonna release the 2 tonight. 2 had a
Yes,
little
we're
technical
gonna.
difficulties in the editing, but it will be
Yeah.
released.
Yes. So we're gonna figure that out because if you notice that in episode 1, I don't think that there are any in there, but you should leave a comment where it is because I'll fix it, which would be really cool. But yeah, guys, I hope you had a good day and everything. But yeah, okay, bye.
Bye. This has been noted. 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 Noted.
Outros are my specialty, Daniel.